Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, colleagues. My name is Lisa Kerbiel. I'm delighted today to represent the United Nations and its Joint SDG Fund here at SOCAP. Sincerest appreciation to all of the organizers for bringing together all of you, the SOCAP community. And indeed, given that most of us are likely watching this from home, participating from our home offices, our dining room tables, I think there's no better time than now to really ask ourselves how we can make the world better. At the United Nations, the Joint SDG Fund is indeed about building back better from the COVID-19 pandemic. It's about reaching the goals that the world endorsed back in 2015, which are now part of our decade of action, a decade of accelerating the ending of poverty, accelerating the provision of education, of healthcare, of systems that protect the vulnerable, from being unemployed to being living with disabilities, the elderly, the child-headed household, all of the different groups around the world, in many ways that COVID-19 has made us notice more. What's exciting about today is that we are entering the impact investing space, where all of you already have expertise and experience. The United Nations has been a grant-making facility in many ways for its last 75 years. And through the generosity of governments, we've been enabled to make those grants to programs through the UN around the world. The Joint SDG Fund is trying to pivot. It's trying to take public monies from our very generous member state contributors, and that's currently, we've been capitalized to 290 million US dollars. And we're using that funding to de-risk investments in frontier, emerging, what we call developing countries. Why? Because we know that the average investor, the average impact investor may not be looking at solar power in Rwanda or waste management in Iraq. You may not already have a proposal for the coral reefs in Fiji and Papua New Guinea, or for health systems in Colombia. We do. We have partners around the world through the UN and all of the NGOs and governments that we partner with. We've identified a pipeline of investments only focused on accelerating the Sustainable Development Goals. And what we want to do now is we want to invite you to join us. We want to invite you to challenge yourself and to step out of your comfort zone and invest in some of the trickiest, most complicated parts of the world. And why? Because you'll make the most impact. There is no doubt money put with our public money is going to go straight into the hands and the hearts of those who need it most. And I've had the privilege to work in Somalia, in South Sudan, in some very, very challenging context, armed conflict, natural disasters, drought, floods, parts of the world where the United Nations has often been one of the few partners on the ground delivering life-saving supplies and life-saving services. And we want to take the 75 years of expertise that we've accrued, and we want to blend it with your expertise in impact investing. And together, we think that that's a perfect partnership for success. And our panel later today will invite some of our already committed partners to share some examples of how we're making that happen in different countries. And now we have time for Q&A. So I really hope you ask me some questions that could help me explain the fund and why your entity, your family office, you individually would like to somehow support the United Nations and our work. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to hear from you in the Q&A.